Hi everybody, it's Russ and My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell notification button so you're notified of any time we put new content on. Obviously, we've got videos going up daily, but we are putting out 2-3 videos a day sometimes. I wouldn't want to miss any of the great stories, any of the great memories we're recording, so make sure you hit that bell icon. Lots of great guests coming up, lots of great fans coming up, including today's fan. It's Colin Milne. Hi Colin, how are you, man?
Hello, Russ. How are you doing, mate?
Not bad. I know everyone says the same question, but how's lockdown treating you?
Lockdown is treating me very well because I've got money. I've got no illness in the family. Everybody's fit. To be fair, I mean, lockdown is quite savage for other people.
Yeah.
Other people have become ill, they've died, and other people have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
So that's why anybody watching, if you feel like giving some money to a food bank, why don't you?
Definitely. Totally agree. Yeah, as you said, as long as you got your health, you got your job.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can do in it, and that's the way. And we'll have football back soon, so that'll be fun, won't it?
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah. Strangely, I thought I wasn't missing it until they started putting the dates down, and I thought,
really?
Yeah, all right, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I was the same. I think I got used to us not having to look at a league table and had like 100 days or so. We haven't lost.
Yeah.
Davy Moyes has got the longest ever losing undefeated streak.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's getting sort of squeaky bum time now. It's getting exciting. I think when I've got to pop down there Friday afternoon. And then obviously the Saturday. So then I think it will really dawn on me. It'd be a bit weird. I know it's going to be weird. It's going to be strange. There's a few strange things which they're trying to do.
Yeah, but I mean, coming up with what we've got to face now, it is squeaky bum time. Of course it is. Alex Ferguson always understood that part of the season absolutely correctly.
Yeah.
But if we don't get there, if we do go down, we go down having an absolutely full squad. I know that everybody has, but we've got quite a depth of a squad there. Yeah. It's not that shabby. I mean, in previous years, you'd look at the bench and you think, I don't know if I want to make any changes. But I don't think it's as clear-cut as that anymore. I think we should be okay.
I think we should be okay too. And when I talk to the ex-players, because obviously, no one's really been in this situation before, but talking to the ex-players and obviously coaches and stuff, they're all very confident because I think, it's going to be really unpredictable the next 9 games for everyone. And so whatever comes out in the wash, I think the teams with the best team ethic, the best atmosphere amongst the squad are going to be the ones that pull through. And by all accounts, things are going quite nicely at Rush Green.
I've got a little bit of faith of Moyes on that. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think he's an old hand who knows how to get a squad together. He proved that the last time round, and I've got a little bit of faith that we'll be okay.
Yeah, me too. And I think as a manager, I think he has dealt with this whole thing outstandingly. Obviously he was doing the food bank stuff, but not like he was doing the deliveries and things like that when he was off. Brilliant. And I think he's great. And I think he's come at the right time. I think you got good squad, you got good training squad. I think by all accounts, Kev and Moisey and Nobes have been sort of whipping everyone up, and it's a good atmosphere. And as you said, a fully fit squad. When was the last time West Ham had a fully fit squad? I can't remember.
Not even the first game of the season. I mean, everybody gets injured in pre-season training, don't they? And you start the season with 2 or 3 out. I think Bonner's the only danger at the moment. Yeah. Might not be fit, but if that's all it is, then that's fine.
Yeah, and I think so, and I think it's going to be interesting. And it's the great because we're all on telly. It's going to be good, and I've particularly like the whole West Ham community type thing, hearing stories of people having like their own Zoom parties of their season ticket holder mates around them, stuff like that. Yeah. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love it, and it's so West Ham.
Well, I've got a little Zoom group. You've already spoken to some of them. You've spoken to Gary Killington and Jackie Hughes, and they're in our little Zoom chat group. We keep each other sort of like bubbling away.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I can just imagine who you're watching it and watching the game at the same time and having a moan up and stuff like that. Brilliant.
What we're trying to do. I mean, we've got 2 technical people in our little group.
Yes,
Get a team party together, because I'll just be logging on. I'll be doing it, but if they can't get a Zoom party for the first game, I'll be disappointed in them.
Yeah, no, it's sort of set itself up nicely. Right, so Colin, obviously the idea of the channel. Obviously, you see some of the others. Yeah, basically, the first idea is the first thing we do is find out about your story, basically about why West Ham. So why I know you live in Dagenham now, but why West Ham, Gary? Why is that your club?
Why West Ham? Actually, it's not as simple as that, because it was. It didn't start with West Ham at all, and from the very first time I can remember, I just loved football. If I wasn't out in the back garden kicking something around the back garden, I was over the park kicking something about, or walking down the road kicking stones, doing whatever I can.
Yeah.
And it was early '60s, and we was all a bit like that. We'd go over the park and not go home till it was tea time. There'd be 5 aside, or there'd be 32 aside. Whose ball is it? Who do I ask to join in? That sort of thing. So it was football first, and the West Ham bit came second, because I come from a family with no football traditions whatsoever. Father didn't do it. Mother, although she was from Victoria Park, nothing to do with football. No uncles, absolutely nothing. It was just me that loved football. So I wasn't taken along, like by a favourite uncle, or, encouraged to be West Ham. I actually chose them.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how. I remember playing football. And it was certainly before the '64 Cup final, because I know that I was supporting West Ham by then.
Yeah.
But somewhere between the ages of, 6 to 9, I had mates as well, and funny enough, they supported West Ham. But it's got to be more to do with the area. But I can't remember any one of us sort of saying, "Oh, I'm going to support them because you did," or whatever. I either chose it first and my mates followed, or they chose it and I followed. I honestly can't remember. I was too young. The only difficulty I had is I desperately wanted to be a supporter. And I had a lovely mum and dad. Let's go to the fair, let's go to the circus, I want to go to the pictures, let's go out for a picnic, and all of that. But if I want to go to the football, yeah, we'll take you one day. And it was, with me, it was, no, it ain't one day. I want to go to the football and keep going, and I want to go every week. So all this having a jolly day out like a birthday present or something, that wasn't for me. And it took a while, because proper mum and dad, oh no, not going on your own, that's a bit unsafe. And I remember that I worked on them. And I worked on them, and well, you're not going on. When I've got some mates to go with. Oh, you got some mates. Who are they? Do I know their mum and dad? And it was sort of like, oh, that sort of environment, which they did. They're decent lads. You can go with them. By the way, you have to go in the seats. What? You have to go in the seats. So next thing is me, Russell Jackson, and John O'Shea. There we are, going over West Ham, but we had to go in the seats. And that was before the World Cup, '66. And my first game under those circumstances, going with mates, was Manchester United. 3-2 to West Ham. And my last game at Upton Park was against Manchester United, 3-2 to West Ham. And what really annoys me is that some of the people out there say West Ham, they're not consistent. That's 50 years. 50 years, and it's the same result. How consistent do you want to be? But that's my origins, and on and off, obviously more on than off. I've been going ever since. Seen some great days over there. Like many of the people that have already spoken, it's about the day out as well. I mean, I specifically remember that. There we are in the seats against Manchester United. It was a great game, and I unlike Jackie Hughes, I can remember the football as well, because Hursty got a couple.
Yeah.
And some guy called Noel Campbell scored for Manchester United. Okay. And at the time, I had no idea who Noel Campbell was, but I do now. I remember just sitting up in the seats and looking at the bits behind the goals and thinking, oh, that looks good.
It's fun.
People were bouncing up and down and singing, and it looked like a great gig to go to. Well, the bit behind the goal, I think, I don't care what punk rockers say, I think that's the origin of a mosh pit. Yeah. That's exactly where it started. Yeah. But after that, then it was, going over there, North Bank, regular. And I still love the event. Loads of people that go as well. The pub before the game is just as important as the pub after the game, and the game itself. But It's all been fun.
It is, and you're right. It's like, and that's what comes through in all these interviews when we talk to the fans. Is football is secondary. It is about the the event. It's about the pub. He said the pub before, the pub after, and the game in the middle's all right. But it's like you're gonna have a laugh whatever happens, isn't it? And that's the thing. And I think that's what people miss. Although you've got the football, it's behind closed doors. People are really making an effort to get that sort of sense of family and togetherness back again, which I think we've missed.
When I'm watching it on the telly, I know I'll be exactly the same because I already do it. If we're on the telly, I watch it standing up and pace up and down. I can't really ever get comfortable in a chair watching a game of football.
Yeah,
it's too much. You're not involved in if you're sitting in an armchair.
No, I know what you mean.
But there again. So hopefully we can get a Zoom going, but they'll have to have a camera following me around the room.
Yeah, you have to get that Facebook one, that portal one, isn't it? That follows you around. That's what you need to get. We need to do a Kickstarter, a GoFunding campaign to get Colin one for Saturday. No, I know what you mean. It's it's one of those things. I'm a similar man. I can't. I'm stuck in that box at London Stadium, and when I was at the box at Upton Park, and I don't sit down. It's really annoying, and I have to stroll about because I can't. Because I don't think it's a case of I can watch any. I think it's just because it's West Ham or anything. I don't feel comfortable sitting down watching West Ham more than anything. I could watch a normal game, but it's West Ham. It's a bit
exactly. Match of the day, Saturday evening, we're not on. That's fine. Or if it's a sort of like highlights, that's okay. I can do that. But it's live. I have to be right into the game. I can't help it. It's just how it's always been.
So, and as you said, for someone like yourself, North Bank and stuff like that, you were standing up for God knows how many years. So it's ingrained in you, isn't it? More than anything.
Well, funny enough, I had a seat for that very last game at Upton Park, and I wasn't sitting down there either.
Not a lot of people do, Gary, do they? Colin, not a lot of people do, if I'm right in believing. And that's the trouble. I just think people get set in their ways, but it's sweet, and it's like I'm looking forward to whenever it kicks back off again, and when everyone gets together, that 60,000 when we all get back into London Stadium, Cole. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great, and
I think you know what it will be the making of the London Stadium because for all those people that don't like it, they will not have missed it.
Yeah, it's so true.
And it just might save it a little bit from everybody that's going, I still don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're saying. I mean, I was watching a YouTube person the other day on one of these sort of opinion pieces, and he was saying, are we gonna be more sympathetic? Are we gonna be more? Of course you're not. You're still gonna slag them off. But it's a chore. Someone said it was a chore that they hate going to London Stadium the last couple of years, but it's a chore they want back doing, and I think that's basically what it is. I think it'll be more appreciative
to an extent, and all that. I preferred Upton Park. Most people preferred Upton Park. Having said that, I couldn't get a beer at half time at Upton Park. And I can now get a pint of IPA, which is nice. And I've got pretty damn good seat. I know a lot of people are far away, but I ain't. I'm over the corner flag, and I've got a pretty damn good view of the pitch. Yeah. So I'm not as unhappy as some people.
No,
I simply, I'm with them. When you take away somebody's second home and then knock it down, and then try to even move the statues away, I'm thinking people are going, well, you can't do that. And I get that. But this is the one we got.
Yeah, and when that district line was down, good luck getting out of Upton Park.
Yeah.
And so now, I remember the first. I mean, you live very close to me, Colin. I must have gone 6 different ways home for the first half dozen games. Because one line's down, we go here, go to Gideon Park, go to Newby Park, whatever. Stuff like that, and it's horrible to say, but it is for the next generation, really. My daughter, she's 8, 8 a couple of weeks ago, and she really only knows that West Ham played at London Stadium, and so her kids will, and that's how the game's going. Appreciate people, memories and stuff, but I think in the long term it'll be a good thing. Yeah, if the team are winning, no one gives a shit about where they're playing, innit? To be honest.
Yeah. Well, we need to keep alive the fact that we were there.
Yeah.
Keep those memories recorded, and I think that what you're doing, to be honest, is doing an awful lot of that as well. which is working particularly well. And in years to come, historians can sort of say, well, that was the place. This is what the people were like. And I think it's going to end up with a very good historical record of us lot, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why to be honest, Colin, that's why I like interviewing the more experienced fans, because, you know, from like the mid-90s onwards, I'm pretty okay with that because that was my era. But it's the earlier years, as you said, from 64 on, you know, 64, where you sort of supported them properly. That's a whole wealth, and that was our golden era, really, in terms of, you know.
If you think about it, if you take the war years out, because we missed 3 league seasons in the First World War and 6 in the Second World War, I've actually seen half their history, which is, you know, so, okay, I can't pick Vic Watson this afternoon. I get that because I never saw him play.
Yeah.
But there might be one or two around who have. I'm not sure. Have you had Vic Watson come up as a player yet?
Not yet. We've had about 100. We had about
somebody in the
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find someone. There's a couple of people I want to get on who are slightly more experienced than you, Colin.
Yeah.
And I say experienced because I, you know, rather than older. I think we've had about 125 different names of players that have come up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good spread. Obviously, you could probably predict where the top ones, but
and that's why when you get to my team, I've obviously put a little slant on it because otherwise I'd just be naming 11 names that other people name. And, you know,
it's cool.
You could almost write the West Ham's favourite 11 down from your interview.
Well, that's basically what happened. You know, that's how it all started. So it was, I think, in 2003 they did the Dream 11. The club did, and it had Ray Stewart, it had Bobby, it had Jeff, it had Martin. But again, I weren't around to see any of them. So it's like, well, it's been 20 years since that happened almost. Then I thought, you know what? There's going to be a lot of people who've it needs an update, and you know, there's people in there who weren't in there. So you know, if we look to the top ones, you got Mark Noble. Mark Noble wasn't there 20 years ago, but the impact he's had on the modern West Ham fan is self-evident and stuff like that. So
I even did a little bit of research, and I hadn't realised. I looked it online last night. Do you know Mark Noble has now got himself up to 10th in all-time appearances? He's number 10. And, you know, particularly somebody of my age, he don't seem to have been around for that long, but all of a sudden, 10th most appearances for in a West Ham shirt, which is great for Mark to get into the top.
It is. And also, isn't he the longest serving Premier League player, current Premier League player or something like that as well now?
Absolutely.
So, again, he's incredible. You know, I've got so much respect for the man. Anyway, let's go and talk about your 11 because we've alluded to it. You said you've taken a slight twist or a slight theme to it. What's that?
Well, some people know this, some people don't. There have only been 2 sides to win the FA Cup that have been entirely English. Sure. The first one was West Ham in 1964, and the second one was West Ham in 1975. So I thought I'd go on the English theme. Then I thought, well, actually, that's too easy because certainly in the 60s, everybody was English. So I thought I'd make it a little bit more difficult for myself. I made it England internationals only, and I must have seen them play. And although that sounds a little harsh and I've got less choice, but strangely enough, I think I've ended up with a pretty damn good team. But we'll see. We'll let other people
That's
judge.
good. All right, that's good. I like that. All right, let's start between the sticks then. Who's the sticks for
between
this
the
England
11? And this is using the rules as liberally as I can because he'd play for England, but not when he was wearing a West Ham shirt. But there's only one Phil Parkes. Phil Parkes had to go in as my goalkeeper anyway. If he wasn't English, I'd still pick him. I just think that when you talk about composure as a goalkeeper, and that's what you want to see, I haven't seen his like. Maybe the only one I could compare him with, or 2 I could compare him with, would be Gordon Banks and Pat Jennings. People that just looked if they were always going to be solid. And when the ball came to them, there was no fuss. They just called it out the air or made the save, got up, dusted themselves and got on with the game. I mean, there was something slightly hippie about Phil Parkes because nothing seemed to faze him. You could almost see him walking out, smoking a joint, going, that's okay, man. That's absolutely fine. But Phil Parkes, without a doubt. I mean, obviously, I've made it easier because I can't pick Ludo anyway. But there are other England goalkeepers I could have had. I could have had David James.
Yeah.
I could have had Robert Green. I could have even had Joe Hart. You know, if I'm feeling in a whimsical mood. But I'm absolutely happy with my first choice, and that's with Phil Parkes.
Yeah, good shout, great shout. And you're right. I think he was, you know, but obviously I wasn't around to see him play live, but you know, he just seemed to be this sort of, and you don't get it anymore now. This sort of domineering goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? He was just a unit. You know, he was so big.
I've met him a couple of times, and I know what winds Phil up more than anything else. Goalkeepers who can't catch. What's that about?
Yeah.
You know, the ball comes across. No, you don't punch it. You catch it if you can. That's what you're supposed to do. And he could. And I think he looks at modern goalkeepers and he just sucks that full tooth.
Yeah.
He goes, that goalkeeper. You know, because I know the ball has changed. The ball is lighter. It swings in the air a little bit more, but it's not that different. You know, that was a proper goalkeeper. And, you know, streets ahead of Robert Green and David James.
Yeah.
So that one was easy for me.
Sure.
And the other, I don't know, the other thing with Phil Parkes is, and this is part of the memory stuff as well, we don't win that 1990 World Cup without, FA Cup without Phil Parkes. No. We just don't. And that's not about the final, that's earlier rounds.
Yeah. Because,
I mean, he played a blinder that season. And we really don't win the 1980 World Cup if Phil Parkes isn't playing in goal.
Yeah, agreed. And the one which has been picked up a few times was the West Brom game. Is it the third round?
The West Brom game.
Fourth, I don't know exactly.
Certainly before it was before the quarterfinals, I think. Might have been fourth round, I'm not sure. But it was away.
Yeah.
And
he did about 15 saves or something. He was amazing, apparently.
Oh, yeah. But I'm not televised. We only ever saw the highlights of that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go to that game, but everybody that was there just told me that he played a blinder. But he did throughout the competition as well, semi-final included.
Yeah. Good shout. And you know, one of the few players who won the 80 FA Cup and were 85-86. There's a 5. There's him.
There's Devonshire and Brooking amongst that sort of trinity of players that did both.
Yeah. And Pikey as well, I think, was in both as well.
Oh, and Pikey, yes, of course.
Yeah. No, I did my research. I've done my You've got to when you interview these ex-players. You've got to.
No, he didn't play for England, so I haven't researched him at all.
Well, there you go. Yeah, one of 5. Yeah, so it was, and obviously Ray Stewart. But obviously not English, so it didn't count. Right, okay.
No.
We'll put Parksy.
No, Ray Stewart, not English, and that's the problem, because if you remember the World Cup, the Jules Rimet Trophy, where did that go? That went to Brazil because they won it 3 times.
Yeah.
You can have the trophy permanently. That's yours. Off you go. Well, if Ray Stewart had been English, we would have won the FA Cup 3 times with an all-English side. Surely we would have been awarded the FA Cup. That would have been ours permanently.
It's all Ray's fault.
But not to be. Should we write to the FA and ask them?
Oh, we'll have a word. Pikey's still in there, and Neil Brooking is as well. You know, we got some influence over there, surely. Yeah. Good shout. Okay, we'll put Parks in. Let's go left back then. Who we have left back then, Colin?
Left back, Frank Lampard Senior.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, without doing research, I think he's the second. He's second in the all-time appearances list. I think he's only Billy Bonds in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And specifically, there was a season that we went down, and it was obviously just before the 80 final. And I think it might have been the end of 79 or 78 we went down. I can't remember. Last game of the season, we went down at home to Liverpool, who were on fire at the time, and that actually relegated us. And there was a player out there that was absolutely working his socks off to make sure that they wouldn't happen more than any of the others. There was one player left on the pitch, not with his head down, but came over to the fans at the end of the game when we were relegated. That's Frank Senior. Total respect. second longest serving player, and I think he gets forgotten
Agreed.
in our history because of the old Harry bit and assistant manager and his son being somewhere else. But in his own right, absolute legend, Frank Lampard, and another man who only got one cap.
Yeah, only one cap, man.
Included.
No, I totally agree. I think he's, and that's what again comes through from all these interviews is obviously the impact that he had on fans. And as you said, I think he has been lost in the wash, so to speak. You know?
Yeah, well, hopefully this is putting it right.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Maybe one or two other people were suggesting. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. It's a name that crops up quite a lot with the more experienced fans, and it reevaluates where you are and how you think about players. That's for sure. Okay, we'll put Frank Senior, or we'll just put Lampard, not Senior. Left back. Let's go right back then, Colin. Let's go the other side.
Now, right back was really difficult.
Yeah,
because you can look through those records and you try and find an England right back, and you know there's not that many around. Obviously, if all England managers have been sensible, one of our right backs from the 60s was Billy Bonds, but nobody ever picked him, so I can't have him. I could have, and it would have been a good shout if I hadn't have done something else. I could have had Glenn Johnson.
Yeah.
Because Glenn Johnson is one of those players that as soon as he came on the pitch, I thought, that's a player.
Mm.
You don't always see that on the debut. But with Glenn Johnson, you thought, oh, that boy can play. We were relegated, and I think he went for $6 million to Chelsea, something like that.
Really cheap.
Same price that they paid for Joe Cole. So somebody out there rated him, didn't they?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I've tried wherever I can not to put anybody who made his career mainly somewhere else.
Okay.
So I've not picked Glenn. This is my only cheat. I've decided that because he could play anywhere, Rio Ferdinand could certainly play at right back.
Yeah.
And I wanted him in the side anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So that was my way of squeezing him in. If that's a cheat, I promise there'll be no more.
I don't care. I've had some teams with Bobby Moore in goal because nothing will get past him. So you might as well put him in goal.
He played in goal, so that's fine.
He played goal, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think Rio was like, he was another one, wasn't he? Because he was like, he came with a little bit, and not as big as a sort of a preemptive sort of title as Joe Cole, but there was rumblings about this young Rio lad. I remember, and he came on. Did he come on for Alvin? I think his debut.
Yes, I think he did. I think I was at that game. I was, for once in my life, I was actually in the West Stand in the dining room. Mm-hmm. He came on, and I think he came on as a substitute. Yeah. In midfield first. Mm. That was his first appearance, and it might have been against somebody like Blackburn or Derby. It was almost the same sort of time that Frank Lampard was Junior was being introduced, but he didn't start as a central defender. I think they just made a space for him in midfield as a substitute. Then I think he had a couple more appearances in midfield, and then he became that regular central defender.
Yeah, because
I think in fairness, he did cover at Manchester United right back a few times.
I've got a feeling he played wing back as well for us for a game or half a game as well.
Yes, he did. Yes.
So that counts.
And it would have been on the right. I mean, I'm really digging a hole here, and everybody's going to correct me, but I'm having him as a right back.
Oh, good shout! And I remember because he was like this ball playing, the next Bobby Moore, and I think he came on. I think he says it in his biography. The first thing he does was twonk it into the stand at massive, oh, that's it. Here's our saviour. Look at him twonking into the stand. But we'll put Rio in. A great player, and obviously the career he had afterwards. There's a good one coming up, Colin. I've got a good one. I've got Tony Carr coming up soon. It's going to be out very soon, and he's done his Academy 11. And we talk about England players. It's mental, right? Okay, we'll put Rio in. That's a great shout. Let's go centre backs, and I could probably guess at least one of your centre backs, if not both.
Oh yeah,
go on in.
Yeah. You can definitely guess Bobby. Yeah. Bobby is in there, and obviously the minority of people that you've interviewed pick him because the rule is you have to see him play, and that just it's only us old buggers that can actually pick him. And now I've got to say something about him. and try and imagine what everybody else has said and say something original, and it's so difficult.
You don't have to say, yeah, say whatever's, you know, there's a reason why you picked him. So
there are a couple of things that I want to say about Bobby that, and the younger listeners certainly won't know this. That John Moncur song that they used to sing about John Moncur being everywhere.
Yeah.
The original song for that was for Bobby Moore. He's here, he's there. And that was definitely Bobby's Moore before it was for John Moncur. And there was a game in the 70s. We were up at Derby at the old baseball ground. Now, the police there had a low tolerance on away supporters, shall we say. So a couple of times they sing that song and the arm comes across, shoulders get pulled out, and people got thrown out or nicked for swearing. You can't imagine that happening now because you'd have to nick the whole crowd, wouldn't you? But there they were thrown out. And to my right is the police line, and there's a couple of others. And I saw a couple of people talking. And all of a sudden, 4 or 5 guys start the song again. He's here, he's there. And the police go to lean across and they go, "We're not allowed to swear, Bobby Moore." And and after that, that became the song for Bobby Moore. Brilliant. Rather, he's everywhere. It actually became "We're not allowed to swear" just because of that one game. Oh, so hopefully that's a slight angle that nobody's told. I don't know. Might be. And the other thing that I was thinking about it this morning, with Bobby, and with all great players, when you see a player do something absolutely magnificent and he's one of yours, you hear that roar go round the crowd. When it's half a chuckle and half a roar. Oh, you know, he's done that. There was 2 or 3 occasions when Bobby Moore could go one better, and I swear I saw this on 2 or 3 occasions. What he did was so good and he was so clever that he didn't get an automatic roar because everybody's breath was taken away. So there was a second's pause where they were sort of like, oh, you know. And he's the only player, I think he's the only player other than maybe Cruyff that he just catches your breath with a sheer bit of brilliance. Yeah. He was that good. Having seen him, he was that good. Yeah. You could actually think, what did he just do? Yeah. Did he really just do that? And it was usually something to do with taking the ball out of defence. And it was audacious. He could do it. And his best period was probably somewhere between 68 and 72 because that's, 68 and 72 because that's where he really matured. Yeah, but Bobby's in there.
Yeah, definitely. And it was quite interesting. I think when I was interviewing Jeff Pike, he said about Bobby. Was it Jeff Pike? Yeah, it was Jeff Pike. I think he was saying how he was just so humble as a man. You get that, don't you? I mean, I listen to his interviews, and when people, he's not one of these flash Larrys you have nowadays. He was just humble and a gentleman. And just a lovely guy. Even people who've worked with him, when they worked with him, I think Ian Crocker worked with him at Capital and a few others. Make everyone's cup of tea. And he was England captain. He won the World Cup, but he's making my cup of tea. And you just imagine him doing that as well.
As I say, I mean, I'm not going to say too much about Bobby because I reckon it's been said 20 times over to you already.
Yeah. I don't think not that many, as you said. There's not many of your experienced fans, we've had so far. So, it's always good when the Bobby stuff comes up because it's just really interesting to hear, your perspective as a fan, and that's what I'm learning. So all these types of new players,
it was honestly the guy that took your breath away. He'd do something that you just think, that's just fantastic. Yeah. And it wasn't just roaring him on; it was that pause of, deep breath.
Yeah. I could probably liken it, and this is no way in comparison to Bobby Moore at all. But when Payet did that free kick against Palace, there was a delayed reaction, wasn't it? It was like
there was a delayed celebration.
I know exactly what you mean, but obviously he did it more often.
It was Palace, wasn't it? It was in
Yeah.
That ball had no business of going into that corner.
No.
No.
I can see what you mean by that delayed reaction. It's not exact, or even like Di Canio against Wimbledon. It was like,
it was pretty much the same thing because you don't believe this scene.
Yeah. All right, we'll put Moro in. Who's Moro going to partner in the centre back positions?
Well, no surprise, it's Alvin.
Yeah. Exactly.
Alvin again. Alvin was there. He was a West Ham player in '75 because I think he was 16 or a kid at the time. But he was at West Ham for over 20 years. I mean, a hell of a long career. And I can't remember Alvin ever letting us down. I can't remember Alvin having a stinker. I really can't. And when I was thinking about who could be in the centre of defence, I started to remember I think it was the '86 World Cup final. World Cup final series. And the game against Argentina, which he didn't play.
No.
Because Terry Fenwick was in there and he made some sort of like, am I marking you? Am I not? Shall I go out? Shall I not? Shall I put in a tackle? Well, this looks like a tackle. And Alvin had been dropped because Terry Fenwick had been, I think, suspended for the round before. And Alvin had come in as a replacement against Paraguay. We won 3-0 and Alvin was man of the match and outstanding. Then he don't get to play against Argentina.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the game with my arms folded and thinking Alvin wouldn't have done that. That's for sure. Terry Fenwick, preferred instead of Alvin Martin. What was the guy thinking? But as I say, great servant to the club. Can't remember him making a mistake. And he should have played more times for England because he was a very good centre-half. If he's playing for Liverpool or Manchester United, he gets more caps. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately that's a general theme for most West Ham players, isn't it? Really, if they're playing for a top 4, top 5 club, they're going to get more. You said like someone like Billy Bonds. How in my era, Julian Dix, how the hell did he never play? And
there he would have been my left back.
Exactly.
I would have had to struggle to think who I wanted, Dixie or Frank Lampard.
Yeah, it made your job easier, didn't it?
Yeah.
Could have picked Aaron Cresswell.
It could have been Aaron Cresswell. Actually, bearing in mind the rules, I have to have seen him played and I have to play for England. Could have been Stuart Pearce.
Could have been Piercy, as well. Good shout, yeah. That's it. All coming floating back, but no, Lampard was the man. Okay, right, put Alvin in. Let's go midfield then, Colin. Let's go left wing or left midfield. Sorry, we've got left midfield.
Left midfield. I mean, we're going back to the 80s and the 86s. Dev. Yeah, absolutely, Dev. The highest quality midfield player that we've ever had was Sir Trevor. But very, very close in his shadow is Devonshire. I mean, I just thought his crossing of the ball was so crisp, so precise. He was never afraid to run at people. He had speed, complete player, and I reckon it's probably already been in somebody else's team. And somebody must have said in a bargain as well. I think we paid about $5,000 or $6,000. But Dev, without a doubt, has to play on the left-hand side as an England player. And I can't think of too many others that would actually be able to play on the left anyway as England players.
No.
But he would have still won no matter else who'd been there. It's Dev. Great player.
Good player. Great player. And again, I've had the privilege to watch his highlights and stuff now because there's bugger all the telly now, isn't it? So you go through it and seeing, but also the two. He was almost like, again, ignore my ignorance, but he was two different players he's seen. And after the injury, it's almost like he changed his game and came back a completely different player. And could reinvent himself, and that itself, nowadays it's like someone like, I think someone like Michael Owen. When Michael Owen did his hamstring in, that was his career like buggered because he just relied on pace.
Well, it was a sudden burst of pace, wasn't it? That was Michael Owen, and he could finish. Yeah. And if you take that away, there wasn't much else about Michael Owen. No. Very good player, but he could never reinvent himself because I don't think he was good enough, to be fair.
No, it takes a real skill to be able to reinvent yourself completely, because obviously Dev was the flying winger, really, when in the first stint, and then the second stint he was just skillful. And there's some great stories coming up with some of the boys of '86. We've got a couple coming up soon, they're going to be very soon. I'll be putting them up. But yeah, some great stories about Dev would say to him, "Right, okay, I'm going to have about 3 men on me. Just pass it to me. I'll have 3 men, and I'll flick it round, and round you go." And both of them have said, well, it probably gives away who they are, but both of these strikers said exactly, like, word for word, that Dev said to them, and it was exactly the same. It was really, really funny how, and they hadn't spoken to each other. Well, I think they did, but not like that. But it's brilliant. But yeah, we'll put Dev in. Okay, let's go other side. Let's go right midfield then, Colin.
Yeah, that one's very easy for me. That's because I thought he was a quality player, and we're getting a little bit more up to date now, and that's Trevor Sinclair.
Yeah, good shout.
With Trevor Sinclair, number one, he had a lot in his game. He could score goals. He had the ability to bicycle kick and get goals from odd angles. He could run down the wing. He could take players on. But more to the point, when he was playing with Di Canio, he had something quite rare amongst all footballers, and that was his touch. I mean, when he was fizzed the ball from Di Canio and it was going towards the outside of his boot, he could control the ball with the outside of his boot. And you have to have played football to understand how difficult that is, to bring the ball in and down with the outside of your boot rather than the inside of the boot. That's a skill and a half. And I don't think he ever wasted a ball when he was given that sort of pass. It always seemed to be under control. I think his control was every bit as good as Di Canio's, and that's saying something, because that guy could just stop the ball on a sixpence. But Trevor Sinclair for that alone. And again, it's a World Cup. There was, I think it was a Japan World Cup. He was given a couple of games. And where it had all been a bit dour and we weren't going anywhere, he came on and he brightened up the game.
He invigorated the team.
And he should have got more games in that World Cup, because he was definitely in the right part of his form. But Trevor Sinclair, without hesitation.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, obviously, he was, again, it's either the case of West Ham, and whether it's either they play for the wrong club or they play in the wrong position. And he had David Beckham in front of him. So that's why I think the England games to the World Cup, he was on the left, wasn't he? I think he came on. There's loads of injuries, wasn't there, if I remember that? I think Hargreaves went injured, and Joe was injured, and he went and played that left side. But
So somebody pulled out. I think he only made the squad because somebody had pulled out a few days before they were doing the fly.
I think it was Hargreaves or something like that,
I think it might have been Hargreaves. But he certainly was number 23 in the squad, so he wasn't expected to play anyway. But he did.
He did well. Right, okay, we'll put Trevor in. Let's go midfield. I could probably guess at least one of your midfielders based on what you said about.
He's Trevor. I don't know. Well, a lot of people must have talked about it. He just floated. He floated through a game. But he's the first English player playing for West Ham, other than Bobby Moore. Everything about his game was up there. It was the guy knew how to play football. He knew what he wanted to do. He didn't actually have to think too much about what he needed to do next. He just had to have the body and the movement to go with it. Because Trevor was actually quite slow.
Yeah.
He wasn't the most mobile, and he was quite a tall guy. So he couldn't zip between players because he was quite a big item. So he had to get past people with guile.
Yeah.
But he's the first time that ever, he used to really rope-a-dope. He used to get another midfield player. The ball would be coming that way and it's running towards him. And he's looking over his shoulder and looking over his shoulder. And all of a sudden, the player goes that side where he's looking and it's gone that way. Because he's just flicked it round as it's running towards him. And if he did that once, he must have done it half a dozen times. And it worked every single time. So not only did he know how to do that, he knew who to do it against.
Yeah.
And usually leave somebody sitting on their backside. Absolutely great player. Wish he'd scored a few more goals.
Yeah.
Don't think he had a powerful enough shot for a big man. But he was certainly the cleverest footballer in the middle of the park that we've ever had, and he could pick out a pass. And sometimes he suffered a little bit like Hoddle did at Spurs. He could pick out a pass, but I mean, he used to sort of like have to deal with the intelligence of the guy who was supposed to be making the run. Sometimes he'd play a wonderful ball and somebody would be looking around and saying, "What's happening?" And I think if Trevor had actually not stayed at West Ham and gone elsewhere, he probably would have done even better, because he would have played with a better quality player here and there.
No, I get that. And obviously, he stayed in when we were in the second division for a few years as well. When does that happen nowadays? You know what I mean?
No. I mean, the only guy that went anywhere close to that was Michael Carrick, because he stayed for a week in the Championship. But generally, the side that we went down with record points, I mean, other than Carrick, the rest went, didn't they? Not well, I say the rest went. Anybody that was any good went. That was a very good side that went down.
It was a very good side, and it was is that on those sides that were people deemed too good, for the famous expression, wasn't it? Too good to go down. And it's true. But you're right. I mean, he's just a West Ham man, isn't he, Brooklyn? He's got a stand named after him and stuff. Yeah, but he is, as you said, it shows a lot of commitment and loyalty to the club, and I think. And again, that's something which doesn't necessarily come through. I mean, I didn't really, perfectly honest. I mean, again, showing my sort of naivety. Thinking about obviously the relegation years and stuff, like not really realizing that Trevor could, still there. It's weird. It's like I don't think of it, you think of it and you go, actually, nowadays it's like everybody said, everyone's off ski as soon as you're down.
I mean, if you think about it, when he went down, the first season was a washout in the second division, because I think we came bottom half of the table. The second season there, he got a cup winners medal and scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
In the third season, they went up with record points and got to the League Cup final. So he didn't have a rough old time.
No, I get you.
I mean, it was for a shabby year, it was okay.
Yeah, he had one shabby year, isn't it? But nowadays, it's like people I'm thinking, people like Jermaine, wasn't it? It's like after how many months we were down there, it was like, right, I'm off, and it's a different mentality now. Right, okay. Who is Sir Trev going to partner in that midfield?
Oh, now you see, this one kept me up nights, absolute night, because there were people there that would should definitely be. Well, Billy Bonds obviously should be there. If he wasn't playing right back, he should certainly be supporting Trevor Brooking. And I thought I could have Paul Lynch, I could, but I won't. Pretty sure plenty of people will make a call for Scott Parker, because he had 3 great years for us. Superb player. But then I came to a real odd decision, and I might be the first person to pick him, but I don't know. Let's see. I've gone, because Trevor's the attacking midfield player, I've gone somebody who's intelligent enough to be his defensive cover and actually understand how he plays. So I've gone for Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anybody else has picked Declan so far. Maybe some of the younger people.
Some of the less experienced fans may have picked him once or twice, but not from an experienced perspective.
No. But I think he's got a future.
Yeah.
When I first saw him on the pitch, I thought, that's a player. That really is a player. And I know he gets the odd bit of criticism here and there. I know he doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But I still haven't seen what people are criticising. He's had shaky moments here and then, but I think that's a footballer. I think that's a proper footballer, and I think, give him the years, I'm either wrong or I'm right, but right at the moment, he's next to Sir Trevor.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think, now we've got particularly 9 games, in very quick succession. I don't think there's been many people in our squad who are going to play all 90 minutes.
No, they're not.
Apart from Deck, because he's a unit.
Yeah, I do believe that on the friendly the other day, Declan was slipped the armband in the absence of
He was.
He was. So somebody else is seeing something as well. It's not just me.
No, and I was talking to what's going on with me now? I was talking to someone, and they were talking about the lack of leaders in the English game. It's like that quality, a leadership quality, you don't get anymore. Although we don't like him. I mean, John Terry, that type of we don't get that. And for anyone to be a leader, and Deck was. I mean, I remember watching when he was under 23s, and he was skipper, and he was at the back, obviously, and he was like he was like a young John Terry. He really was. The way he commanded, you felt confident in him, and fingers crossed.
And he's the best centre half, and it's not his position.
Exactly.
The guy is a talent. It really is a talent. Anyway, I shouldn't be. I feel that I'm over justifying it now.
No, you're not, because I think it makes perfect sense. I think actually, I think there's obviously the others have fulfilled their potential, so to speak. Scott Parker did, and people like that. I think you're right with Deck. He has got a lot of potential, and he could well surpass. If he stays, he could well surpass Scott Parker in terms of that position, and and he'll be the next one. The way it's almost been, I've seen this sort of like Lion King circle of life has happened.
Let's be honest about it. In a year's time, somebody watches this video and Declan's buggered off to Man City and they said, "Good, I look a complete threat." Time 11. I mean, I'm there for shooting down.
I know, but you had with that in the modern era, you had Scott Parker, then it was Mark Noble, and it was Scott played and Mark's played with Scott, and now you've got Mark Noble and Deck, and Mark's playing with Deck, and you just see this nice. We don't get a lot of continuation through West Ham, and we don't get players hanging around apart from Mark, for like over 10 years now, testimonial years and stuff, but you can see this sort of lineage of that sort of central midfield player, and hopefully that continues even more with Deck. But I think it's a great shout. I think it's a good shout. I think you're right, and I think he'd be intelligent enough to work with Brookham, on that sort of football brain. Totally. No, I agree. Okay, let's go up front then, Colin. Who's your first striker?
You're going to tell me you know one of them already, aren't you?
I have a rough idea, but carry on.
It is. Of course, it's Jeff Hurst.
Yeah.
It's Jeff Hurst without a doubt. And I cheated a little bit because I couldn't remember. I thought I was right because he always struck me as a 30 goals a season guy. And it wasn't quite that, because I think he had a 40, he had a 35, a 30 and a 27 in 4 years. So he certainly averaged 30. He was averaging more than 30 a season. Yeah. That isn't possible in the modern game. I don't know why, but I don't think that you could get somebody to get in that number. No. And more importantly, the year he got the 40, that was crucial to get it, because that was 66. So he got to the 40, where Alf Ramsey's thinking about Jimmy Greaves, and if Jimmy Greaves goes down, who's going to slot in there? He had to be looking at the stats and thinking, blimey, that guy's not going to win. Yeah. So I don't think everybody thinks, well, Jeff Hurst suddenly arrived as a bit surprised, because I think he got his first cap in the February, ironically against West Germany, and then played in the final in the July. But I think Alf Ramsey probably had him in mind for a good while. For exactly that. They're just a proper striker. Yeah. He was the first one that I admired as a kid. Sure. He was the first guy that I wanted to be. But all kids want to be a striker, don't they? So they all admired Jeff Hurst more than anybody else at the time. But and again, because I've met him, I've met Bobby a couple of times, but I've met Jeff more often because I did a couple of bits in the West Stadium, and where him and Martin used to do the what do they call it? The comparing. Groups. Hosting. Hosting, that's it. And Jeff was always completely gentleman, lovely guy. So a bit like Bobby. Not only was he a West Ham legend, he's a very nice bloke as well. And most of his career, of course, was at West Ham. I think he did a little bit at the end of West Brom, but just about most of it was at West Ham.
Yeah, no, good shout. That's good. We'll put Sir Jeff in. Okie dokie. So, you've got two Sirs in your team as well. and it should be the third with Bobby as well. You know.
But yeah, it should be the third.
Yeah. Okay, and who's he gonna partner? Who's gonna be the
Well,
last
you
piece?
see, again, internationals, the choice I've got. What I tried to do is make the rule. I didn't want anyone that didn't really have the West Ham blood. I mean, they might have played for us, and they might have been England internationals, but they're not really West Ham, are they? So I couldn't have Ian Wright for that very reason. Although Ian Wright did get England caps playing for West Ham.
Yeah.
Not many people appreciate that, but yeah, he was an England international and playing for West Ham. I could obviously easily have Tony Cottee for both of these spells there. I could have Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah.
Because he played for West Ham and obviously not an England international by the time he played for us, but those are the rules. I could have had him. I could have had Carlton Cole. I could have had Andy Carroll. But this is where, again, I'm going to be controversial. And I reckon on this one, there aren't many that have picked him because I'm picking Dean Ashton.
Yep.
And
Dino.
I'm picking Dean Ashton entirely on a sentimental basis. I make no excuses whatsoever. We had a striker that had arrived, and we hadn't seen one properly since David Cross.
No, I agree.
All of a sudden, we had Dino up front, and that was such a privilege to see a proper centre forward. And we had such high hopes for him, and it was a tragedy what happened to him. And I've got to be honest, did you go to the Mark Noble testimonial and see the overhead kick? I tell you what, when that went in, tears of joy and a lump in the throat, because it's, and how many more of those could we have seen?
Indeed.
As I say, I could have picked lots of players in.
You could have,
But for just for that memory, Dino.
And what one of those famous what could have been stories with Dino, I think, he would have been, when England were crying, from an English perspective, they were crying out for us, for a partner for Rooney. He would have been the perfect foil for Rooney, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
and
he would have been, more to the point, in that 2006 Cup final that he played in that final not fit. No. We knew he wasn't quite there. He scraped the goal in, and obviously a bit later on he was a substitute. But he was a handful of sorts. I just fantasise a fully fit Dean Ashton on that day. We might have come back with a silverware that day. You never know.
Never know,
Because I actually thought he was that good as a forward. And we just didn't have the privilege of seeing what he could have been.
No, I totally agree. And again, it's someone I should really make better notes. But we were talking to someone, and it was an ex-player definitely, and they put Dino in, and they said that they still when they still meet Sean Wright Phillips, they still don't take to him even after all these years because of that in his head. And he might have been a fan. It might have been someone who does a lot of corporate events. Yeah. But it was so true. And I watched. I think it was on Saturday. It was on Peter Crouch's show on Saturday on BBC One, and I watched it through gritted teeth. Still don't like them, and it was a freak tackle, but you still, it's like it's what could have been, and it's a real shame because he might not have been with us so much for more, for maybe more than a couple of seasons if he was fully fit. He may well have moved on because
we don't know. Do you know what I mean? He's been interviewed a few times, and he says he was really happy there. He really did like it. He was getting a feel for it. So. I'm not so sure that unless something had gone terribly wrong, like another relegation or sort of, that he wouldn't have been there. No. Well, actually, another relegation did happen, but never mind.
It did, but I know what you mean. Oh, cool. That's rounded the team off lovely. Nice team. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Colin. Absolute pleasure. I was really excited to talk to you because you come with so many recommendations from your little group, which is not a little group, quite a big group now. And I was really, really, really lovely to chat to you. So thank you so much for your time. And obviously, I can tell there's been a lot of work here, a lot of late nights decisions on post-it notes.
Yeah, burning. I can't tell you how many light hours I got through.
Oh God, you carry on with that one, mate. You carry on. Obviously, thank you, and obviously, thanks everyone for listening and watching. And again,
Yeah.
I know I say it every video, but
Yeah, no, I've got backlog. I've got loads of people I haven't listened to because I didn't want to until I'd done mine.
brilliant. Well,
So,
my views are going to go up now because Sky's going to watch them all.
yeah, I'm going to binge watch.
Binge watch. It's the new Tiger King. There we go. I'll put
Yeah,
it on the strap line. You've watched Tiger King, now watch Hammer's 11, binge watch. There's probably, I'm going to figure out how many, there must be, it's like, I don't know, we've got about 60 on there now. And like, we've got, every day we're putting 2 more in. So there's always plenty to watch and plenty more coming up. And hopefully,
it's great that you're getting ex-players on as well. And that does sound an awful lot about West Ham because even with the boys of 80s, so this is something that happened 34 years ago.
Yeah.
And these boys are still in touch.
Oh, it's incredible.
I mean, there's hardly any of them missing that don't meet up. I cannot think that could possibly happen in modern football.
That's exactly what I've said in every one of those interviews. Is that exact thing?
Oh, right,
because it's like you listen to the stories, you listen to the camaraderie, and whether it's Jeff Pike, whether it was Bish, whether it's the others that are going to come on soon. I'm not going to reveal who else are coming on, but they all have the incredible team bonding stories. And obviously they're all coming on because they're trying to stitch each other up. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
Gailey's one, it's brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Gailey's a showman anyway, isn't he? I've seen him perform live on stage as well, isn't he? He should have been doing TV. He's very good at it.
It's good, and even the ones who we haven't got on the channel yet, to correct, and it's like, and he doesn't. He's a very humble man, but I mean Ray Stewart, it's like he phoned me up to say he didn't want to do the Zoom because he doesn't like looking at the computer screen because he looks like an idiot or something like that. So we're going to do a live one when we can with Ray. But he still phoned up and we chatted for 40 minutes about West Ham and they are the most. Every player I've spoken to is absolutely lovely guys, lovely personalities. Enough time for anyone. And as I said, we've got some crackers coming up soon. Sorry?
You've done Stuart Pearson?
No, not Stuart Pearson yet. No.
No. I've seen him on the stage with the other guys as well.
Yeah.
And he's got some cracking tales to tell as well.
Everyone has. But you're right. It's that era. I think the last bunch would be the Bish, Monks, Hutch, that era, Mad Dog era. That's the last era I think of where West Ham players had that nature. But I think it's indicative of the modern game. You don't get those characters in the game anymore. It's too professional. Everything's sterilised, even more so now because it has to be because of coronavirus. But you don't get that, and I think it is. Sadly, it is the nature of football. It's the influx of foreign-based players. If you get a player for 3-4 years, you've done well. If you get a manager for 3-4 years, you've done well with him. Yeah. Tony Gale, in his interview, was saying that there was, in his time there, he had a testimonial year every year, almost every year. And, you don't get it anymore. Anyway, we could talk for a Colin, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bum shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. No, not at all. We'll talk for ages. That's what I love. But obviously, thanks everyone for watching. Like, share. Obviously, humbled by everyone. Please, recommend people, all that type of stuff. Everybody. Until next time, for me and Colin, take care, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you all soon at London Stadium. Take care.
Good night.